here's where I'm going to start. So, as I'm recording this, I'm sitting here still kind of processing the news about Chadwick Boseman passing on Friday. And it's not the only thing that's bad. And I think if it was, it would still suck. But it's kind of like this stacking effect, right? Because this year has been bad. And I think no matter who you are, even if you're just like a really bad person, like even the year's probably been bad for you too. We're going through a collective bout of insanity together this year, and things are bad, right? And I'm upset about it. I'm sad, tired. I just want things to be okay. Well, they're not. And so I see the news about Chadwick, and it's just such a terrible thing, because there's been this huge focus on like Black Lives Matter and like the uplifting of Black lives. And he was this big kind of beacon for that. And he was this like segment of this powerful representation of people that look like him. And he was proof that you can do anything and you can break through the barriers that have been placed in front of you and achieve great things. That's his legacy, right? That's what he's leaving behind. And so I'm sitting here, I had trouble sleeping. Like I didn't really sleep a whole lot. Just like watching videos and stuff on Twitter about like what he meant to people and like what he did and like people mourning his passing. And a lot of people think that, it's ridiculous to like mourn a celebrity in this way, but I don't think it's ridiculous to mourn anything. If it means something to you, then who can tell you whether or not it's wrong or weird or bad or dumb or ridiculous to mourn a thing, right? If it means something to you, if it hits you here, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what people think about it. That's just what you're doing, And ultimately, the video isn't about Chadwick. It was just kind of a last straw. And I felt like I've been wanting to make a video like this for a while, but I didn't know how. And despite being very open about stuff like this publicly in the past, it's a difficult thing to talk about and coping and just being sad. I think a lot of people who have never kind of dealt with such a moment for themselves, to put it into kind of gentler words, who's never really experienced like the unique pressure and like all-encompassing like cloud of like depression, or who have had to like secretly deal with things that they don't feel comfortable bringing up, or they feel scared to bring up because they'll be judged for it. This is new. 2020 has been awful for a lot of reasons, and I, I can talk to you about like voting, and I can talk to you about things that have been happening in the last like week or two with like Kenosha and all the other stuff, but that's not what this video is about. I bring those up just to illustrate like bad stuff has happened and continues to happen, and if you're looking for something to do with that stuff, I've made videos about them already. Just go watch those if you feel up to it. It's been a bad year for a lot of people for a lot of reasons. And if you're like me, you have the realization that just because like the year is 2/3 of the way over, we have 4 months left, and that doesn't feel like, it sounds like a lot, but it isn't going to be a lot because as weird as it is, the year has been flying by. And at least for me, I can't speak to anybody else, but for me, it's been flying by. And if you're like me, you're kind of realizing that just because the calendar is going to flip over on December 31st, 2020, that doesn't necessarily mean that things are going to be better. Because time doesn't work that way. You don't just isolate bad things into a time period and then suddenly after you're outside of that time period, it just gets better. That's not how it works. You hope it's how it works, but it's not how it works. So how do we deal with and process that? This entire time, I've been dealing with a lot of loss. I think a loss of joy, a loss of motivation, a loss of self in a way. I think a lot of people are experiencing that as well. Hell, when all of this first started, I was dealing with a breakup, and the only thing that was keeping me sane and happy was watching TikToks for 4 hours at a time. And then starting to to do this kind of stuff also helped as well. And it's a struggle for me. I've made it very clear on the internet at large that I have a history of depression and anxiety, and that's that's just a thing that I deal with. And I think a lot of people, if you look at my presentation of self, just in general, you would kind of look at me and say oh no, I don't think he is. He looks like he's fine. But you know what? People look like they're fine all the time, and you would never know. That's the whole point with Chadwick too, is that he died of colon cancer. And this is, it works in a very similar way, because he died of colon cancer, and nobody knew until the day he died. Nobody knew. And he kept that. Him and his family kept that to themselves and whoever else knew. And that was not something that people knew. And I think it's it is incredibly inspiring that when he got diagnosed in 2016, and then he came out and he did all of these performances and went to hospitals to talk to kids with cancer and make them happy when he was dealing with the stuff internally himself. And I think it's okay to look at that and be inspired and really feel that strength that came from him doing that. But I think, and we can't know why he kept it to himself, if he potentially even needed to for this reason. But I think a lot of the reason why people keep a lot of bad things that are going on within themselves, whether it be physical, mental, whatever, is because they're afraid that they're going to be judged for it. They are afraid that they're going to lose friends, and they're going to lose work, and they're just going to lose because they dare to have something that they cannot help affect them. And so that is kind of the silent battle that a lot of people are dealing with, whether it be, like I said, whether it be physical or mental. And you just never know what somebody is dealing with. Very long time ago, thankfully, a very long time ago, I had a lot of bad things happening within my heart and within my mind. And it was tied to some outward stimulus, and the way that my brain was wired and is wired is, I was depressed. I am depressed. That's just the truth. I take medication for it. Like it's a thing. And a very long time ago, I made an attempt on my life. And that is not something that I talk about a lot. I've mentioned it quietly once or twice to people, but it's not something that I talk about. I took some sleeping pills, which I foolishly thought was an easy way to go. There is no easy way to go. That doesn't exist. There's no easy way to commit suicide. That's just the truth. But I thought that's the one. And I felt so sick, and it's such a hard thing to explain, because it's such a unique feeling when you do something like that to your body. Like I felt sick, and I kind of drifted, and then I woke up at some point the next day, and I didn't dose it right, or just my body rejected it. I don't know what happened, but I'm still here. I'm thankful I am, because I've done a lot of things. And I've met a lot of people, and I feel like I have led an enriched life. And I feel like I tried to, at the very least, put just a little bit of kindness back into the world. And I sit here and I look at how the world is. And I wonder why people can't just be kind to one another. It doesn't make any sense to me. You can't look at a person and just innately know what they're going through, so why wouldn't you just be kind? To loop it back to Chadwick, he was looking real skinny, and we know why now. But people were like clowning on him for being so skinny and making fun of how he looked, and to the point where he had to like turn comments off on his posts and delete pictures that he had posted of himself because people were just being mean. And I can imagine that was probably hard for them. But why wouldn't you just be kind? Because if we look at I texted this to a friend I was talking to about this. If you look at it without the context of what we learned, at best, he was skinny for a role, right? Because actors fluctuate in weight all the time, especially if they're actors that jump between dramatic work and action work like he did. It happens a lot. So at best, why would you worry about it? And at worst, well, guess what? We got at worst, didn't we? And now how do you feel if you were one of the people that was making fun of him for being skinny, of all fucking things? Right? You don't know what somebody's going through. Be kind. Because maybe you say something generally unkind to somebody who's not doing good and suddenly they're gone. And maybe it's because of you, maybe it was always going to happen. But you'll never know that, will you? Everything... We're so attuned because of society to be strong all the time. Because that's just how we're supposed to be. And that people are afraid of saying that something is wrong with them. I know I said it already, but like it's incredibly important to look at that and realize how completely messed up that is. That people are afraid to talk about their problems, and so they get worse and worse until maybe it's just too late for them. So what happened to me? I was dealing with some stuff and I talked to somebody about those things and I got told to man up. And I did. And it got so bad, and then I tried to end my life. That's bad. That's bad that can happen to people. And specifically, like with like suicide, some high profile thing happens where somebody dies because they have committed suicide, and then everybody's very quick to mourn that loss and post like suicide hotline numbers and things like that, which, you know, can be varying levels of effective for people that are seriously considering and having those ideations in their head. What I think people need to normalize is just checking in. Somebody commits suicide and then you post a hotline number and you feel like you've done your job for somebody who's struggling. Sometimes it's hard for people that are struggling to reach out, again, because society has made it so completely impossible to do stuff like that without being judged and made fun of for it. So we have to normalize until that becomes something that people can speak out on and not feel completely out of their depth when they talk about stuff like that. We need to normalize the concept of checking in on people and letting them know that it's all right and being there for people. You can't save everybody, but you can be like, hey, how are you doing? You know what I mean? Even like your friends that look entirely happy and their lives seem like they're completely great. Check in on them every once in a while. You can send a text. We're all dealing with this collective situation, we'll call it. And it's hard for a lot of people. And it might be hard for you. Just send that text. If you're thinking about it, send that text. Make that call. We have a lot to work on as a society, and this is one of those things. So I'm here to tell you, specifically today, that it is okay to be sad. It is okay to mourn the loss of experiences. It is okay to mourn the loss of something that meant something to you. It is okay to be sad. It is okay to be depressed. It is okay to go to therapy. It is okay to talk to somebody. It is okay to open up about your life experiences. It is okay to do these things. It is okay to save your life. It is okay to accept and feel love from people. And if nobody's told you that they love you recently, I love you. I am so tired. I'm tired, and I know a lot of people are. I know you're probably tired. If you're watching this, I know you're probably tired. I am begging. I am begging you. Even if you're just exhausted, keep fighting. Please. Keep fighting, and don't be afraid to share your story. And don't be afraid to just be you. And don't be afraid to be unapologetic about the fact that you're dealing with something. You shouldn't have to be afraid if you have an issue, if you have a problem. You shouldn't have to be afraid. I decided a long time ago that I wasn't going to be afraid. And that's hard. That was a hard thing to do. It was a hard thing to break. It was a hard thing to be comfortable with. Therapy at the time felt like such an icky foreign concept to me, and finding somebody that understood and that I was comfortable sharing with was such a difficult process. But don't be afraid. You just can't be afraid, and you have to fight, and you have to just keep going. And if you think that somebody might be having an issue, even if you don't think somebody might be having an issue, just tell them that you love them. Tell people that you love them. Normalize that. It doesn't matter who you are. It's okay to say I love you to someone you love. It's okay to say I'm here for you. It's okay. I don't know what else to say. This thing with Chadwick was like that last straw on just a giant pile of straws sitting on that camel, man. And I didn't come in with any kind of specific intention. I just wanted to talk it out. And I hope that you got something from this, because at the end of the day, the two things that I want to impart on you, if you're watching this, is that it is okay, and it is going to be okay, and that I love you, and that I'm glad that you're here. And if you're the one person that I reach with that, hell, man, that's worth it to me. My rambling, that's worth it to me. So, yeah, it's worth it. Bye.